And 1, 2, 3. Hi, Dean Lavi. We understand that you're trying to increase enrollment here at the Scheller College of Business by improving the overall student experience. We think there are 3 main considerations when MBA students are looking at MBA programs these days. First is the academic piece. Secondly is, the kind of overall focus on well-being. And thirdly is taking a look at DE&I in the context of business in America today. So we have 3 things that we want to kind of talk to you about. The first is revamping how our program operates and how our grades are decided, and moving from a more exam-based grading model to a project-based grading model. The second is looking at who is or how our facilities are structured and creating space for well-being spaces. So think green spaces, meditation rooms, things like that. And then third is looking at DEI in the context of business, how we come together as a community. So to talk about this a little bit more, we have MK, who has an extensive knowledge of kind of academic models and is a dual degree student here at the Georgia Institute of Technology and knows, for her firsthand how project-based grading can really help students learn. And then after that, we're going to have Leah Cabrera talk a little bit more about, well-being and DEI. She has extensive experience with, tutoring students, city planning, and things like that. She'll talk about the infrastructure piece and how we can come closer together as a community. So with that, I'll pass it to MK, and he will talk about moving from more of the exam-based grading to a project-based grading.
Thank you, Tony. So let me elaborate more on that point. So any student who decides to get an MBA at Scheller College of Business needs to take 10 core courses during his or her first semester. And out of those, 80% of them are exam-based. Now, students with no background in a particular subject struggle to get grades in that course. And what happens is they ended up cramming stuff up just to pass the exam. And it entirely defeats the purpose of making students aware of different domains in businesses during their first semester. And this is something that I have personally felt. So shifting from these exam-based gradings and exam-based courses to a bit more project-based learning and experiential learning will help students connect the different dots of knowledge and also give them a perspective of how different things are applied in real-world scenarios. And this will definitely make learning things more fun and engaging. It also has additional benefits such as learning becomes stress-free, as well as it gives opportunity to students to get then evaluated at different points during the entire time period of the course. And the grading is now a bit more comprehensive as opposed to exam-based, which is binary as opposed to pass or fail. So with that, to talk more about the infrastructure and the well-being initiatives, let me pass it over to Leah.
Thank you, MK. And just like my 2 teammates just said, I'll be talking more about the infrastructure. And what I'll start with is spaces dictate a lot of a student's experience. And especially at Scheller, we have a lack of 1, green spaces, and 2, just open spaces. Most of the spaces we're in are either classrooms that have chairs everywhere built into the actual classroom, or more smaller rooms where you're going to have more of the group work, because a lot of the stuff we do is in groups. So what we are proposing is a completely revamp of the courtyard that is highly underutilized currently. As you may know, right now, it's just a bunch of tables and chairs that don't really have any sense of connectivity. What we're proposing is essentially implementing more greenery. It's been proven that people actually thrive more in nature. So that's kind of a way to de-stress, especially given that as an MBA student, we're going through high stress environment, which we are constantly told about, and being told that we can go, have access to therapy and other forms of resources, yet there's no dedicated space or time built into the curriculum for us to do that on a day-to-day basis. So by revamping the courtyard, we can also start to implement a corner where we can have more of an open layout, where we have meditative classes and daily yoga, where you can just kind of just pop in. We can have a structured way. We can also just have mats out in the courtyard for people to just go and do what they need to do throughout the day. On top of that, we can also start thinking about, well, how can we use this space to create a sense of community? among all students and create a better sense of belonging, especially among the diversity that we are driving to achieve as Scheller, as businesses are thinking more and more about D, E, and I. And for example, in this new courtyard, what we could have is bi-monthly cultural lunches. So currently at Scheller, we have students from all over the world, and even the students who are within America, they have a wide span of cultures. We have people from Dominican Republic, people from India, people from Singapore, Liberia, just to name a few. We could have a lunch in this courtyard where we are essentially providing food from all of these different countries and backgrounds, because currently there is a lack of diverse options for food. And again, food brings people together. And one of the things personally, when I left my hometown of Washington Heights in New York City, that I missed when I got to college was that I have no access to the food that I literally ate every single day. So um, that's just a little glimpse of what we're thinking about in terms of incorporating, again, well-being and infrastructure. And I will pass it along to Tony, who's going to wrap us up.
Thank you, MK. Thank you, Leah. So as discussed, we've kind of talked about how we can shift the grading structure, build out new spaces that allow students to, increase their own well-being while also connecting with their students and giving people a broader understanding of the cultural world that we live in. So we would highly encourage Dean Alavi and the administration to take a look at each of these 3 initiatives. And we want to thank you for your time for listening. And we'd like to open the floor for any questions that you may have.